Hey there, you beautiful souls. Welcome to the Authentic You podcast, where we dive deep into the power of authenticity and the journey to rediscovering your true self. I'm your host, Christina Hawley, and I'm beyond excited to embark on this transformative journey with you. Ever wonder how authenticity impacts relationship, career choices, and overall well-being? Well, wonder no more, because the Authentic You is your compass on this incredible adventure. So what can you expect from our show? Well, picture this: heart-to-heart conversation, inspiring stories, expert insights on the importance of authenticity. We're going to tackle the masks we wear, the societal expectations we navigate, and guide you back to the essence of who you truly are. The Authentic You podcast, where real stories meet real talk. Get ready to shine your light and live authentically. Welcome. So happy that you guys are all here. And I am just going to we have someone in queue already before I even get started. So I'll bring Sally up and see what Sally has to say. Maybe it was my singing that brought her up. Who knows? Hey, Sally.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Good. So this is the first time you've been on my stage. Are you new to New Vibe?
Yes. Just started last week, actually.
You're going to love this space. Have you been on anyone's stage yet?
No.
Oh my God. So I'm the first. That's amazing.
You're the first thing I've done.
Oh, I love it, guys. I always like to put a little challenge to get a new person on the stage. So what do you think so far? See, isn't it cool? We're just like chit-chatting.
I have no idea how this works, so I'm just checking it out.
I love it. So I just did a brief overview, but just so when you're on the stage, so typically I like to do different topics Monday to Thursday, and then Friday it's an open mic kind of thing. And what happens is that you get to come up and share your thoughts. Maybe you have a question, you can fully engage. It's a whole different level of community and podcasting, because typically podcasts are just two people talking. This is really about the community and sharing their insights. That's so awesome. And then, so today we are going to be talking about masks that we wear. So is this a topic that is of interest? Or are you going to sit back, or what are your thoughts?
It's a topic of interest. Absolutely.
I love it. I think when more people start to understand that we are wearing masks that may not serve us. Do you remember the movie with Jim Carrey?
Oh, yes. My son loved that movie.
Right?
I hated it.
No, I was like, oh, I get it. I can watch it once, but there's some people who totally love it. But do you remember when in the movie, when he couldn't take the mask off?
Yes.
Because he became that?
Yes.
And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I think many of us wear these masks and we don't even realize that we've become the mask. Right? So when people, with my clients, and so I'll go into this a little bit more today, but it's so interesting because when people are saying love yourself, do that. But if they don't know how to take the mask down, they're only loving the mask. They're not loving who they are. So when you can see that, that's my goal, is to try and get people just to have a little bit of awareness around it. Be like, am I wearing a mask here? Or is this the real deal? Is this me?
I think as women, we tend to be people pleasers. So a lot of times we aren't truly authentic to what we're feeling in the moment. And then we deal with it all kinds of other ways later.
I think that's excellent. And you know what? It's the reason why I picked this topic is that I'm speaking on Wednesday at a women's conference. And I'm trying to get my thoughts together. When I think of women, exactly what you said, there's many masks that we end up wearing. And it's because we've been conditioned. That's how we get our worth, is through these masks, right? So if we don't understand that we're wearing them, this is why many of us are in that place of burnout, or we're exhausted, but we don't want to voice that we are, because then that seems like it's complaining and we just keep saying yes, yes. But it's because we're not.
We're weak.
We're weak, but we're not. Do you know what I mean? We're just actually the ones that are holding it all together, if you really think about it.
But we don't want to be perceived as weak.
I get that one. That is very true. And when we understand that, the more of us who understand that, hey, it's not weak to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is not, I can't do this, or I don't need to keep people pleasing in order to have worth. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
So this is the kind of stuff you're going to get today, Sally. And look at you kicked it off today, hopping on the stage and chit-chatting. There's 200 people listening to us right now. There is, for all of you that are listening that may be new, there's a chat button that is a little word bubble at the top. That's how people are chatting with you. So they can say hello, they can say, hey, I just heard you, this is how you do it. It's awesome, right? So you have the audio component, but then the audience can actually chat with you behind the scenes. So I hope that helped you, Sally. Thank you so much for coming up and really kicking it all in. You are always welcome here. So get ready. We're going to get into today's conversation. It's going to be a good one. Today, ladies and gents, we are going to talk about dismantling the mask and reclaiming the real you. So even if there's a little bit of insight here to understand on a deeper level, even if we understand it, like I said, if you can walk away a little bit with something, a little nugget for yourself that you can work on, then we're winning. We're all winning. The more awareness we can bring to things, the better. I have a question here before I get started. What's the difference between a mask, feeling like you have to have a mask because you knew that was the way you're supposed to act, versus how, if you were just being fake? I think when we understand, and Eric, I see that there's more there, but we'll get into that conversation a little bit more in today's talk. But when we understand it, many of us don't even realize that we're wearing a mask. Sometimes we do it to keep ourselves safe because we feel as though if people see the real part of ourselves, then we'll be rejected. But I think that if you're in environments that you always have to be wearing a mask, ask yourself this. I haven't even gone into today's conversation. Where do you not wear a mask? And some of us might think that we're not wearing a mask, but we're going to go through some ideas of what masks look like. You might be surprised. And masks are a little bit, they can be good when they protect you, but when the protection starts being on overdrive and you don't know really how to take it down, or if you're being fake anymore or doing that, that's when it kind of gets a little more complicated. So I want us to be empowered in our authentic self so you can identify, hey, I'm putting a work mask on, I'm putting my mom mask on, I'm putting my friend mask on, and understanding that you're doing that. If you need to do that in order to be in that environment, so be it. But my goal is for you not to wear a mask, for you to be comfortable in your own skin and just be who you are, because you will attract in different people. You will be putting yourselves in different situations, people, places, and things that you won't have to do that anymore. But I think many people don't even know that they're locked into some stuff. So before we get started, so you know who you're talking to, let me introduce myself. My name is 𝐃𝐄𝐒𝐒. I'm the founder of the Authentic You Coaching and 𝐂𝐒 Consulting. And I help individuals and organizations unlock their potential, either through leadership or personal growth or their overall well-being. And usually clients come to me when they're either feeling stuck or they're unsure of their next steps. They might be struggling with self-confidence. Maybe they don't know what their purpose is. That's when they come to me. And if you are in this room right now, there's a reason why you're in this room. And if you stay with me for the next hour and engage in this conversation, you're going to walk away with a little more insight. And that's the overall goal. My background, I've been in HR for 25 plus years in senior HR leadership roles for global companies, and I've got my executive designation. So what really happened was during COVID, I ended up writing a book called The Authentic You, Unleash Your Leadership Potential. And that book broke me open, changed my life forever, because all of a sudden I was leaning in and getting to know my authentic self. And I believe in it so much that I changed my entire life around it. Now I do transformational work, I do retreats and different coaching programs, and I speak and all this stuff. Because when you lean in and you start to discover who you are, your potential is so much more than you can even imagine. So if I were to tell you right now, if you're asking me about the mask is there because you're nervous of showing your true self right now, that's okay. You'll get there when you get there. But what if I told you your true self? If you lived your life with no fear and you could do everything that you actually really wanted to do without doubt, without worry, all that stuff, who would you be? Probably someone really powerful. What would you do? Probably take big risks and like do the things that you really love and that give you joy. So when we understand that, it's extremely powerful. So, but we have to understand how we kind of got there. So today we need to kind of breathe in the truth. Okay. Like just think about what, like, are you so caught up in doing things? Like, are you, I always say, are you in the do and not in the being part of it? I literally had this conversation with a client yesterday because sometimes we get so caught up in the things that we think that we need to do or how we're supposed to show up and what we're supposed to do to make other people happy that we lose sight of being. It's actually we're meant to be first and then we do, right? So we get the idea and inspiration, then we make it happen. But our society has had us conditioned about do. And then many of us might be suffering in that. And we have these masks acting as though like, hey, we're okay. Yeah, no problem. Guess what? What's really happening in those moments, guys? You're performing. You are not actually being who you are. And you're disconnected to your real self. But you know what connects you to your real self is breath. If you sit back and you reflect, like, who am I? And am I performing for others? Am I trying to show up a certain way for others instead of being really authentically who I am in this moment? These are some examples of some masks that we wear. And we may not realize that we are wearing them, but usually we're doing it as a form of protection. But if we don't know that we're wearing it as a form of protection, it actually can become a prison, right? It becomes like, oh gosh, I can't go out there like that. If I'm not this person, they'll never accept me. It actually goes backwards and kind of gets in your head a bit. So here are some common masks. The achiever. So I deal with high performers all the time, and they struggle the most because they believe that they get their worth by doing more. I will accomplish more. I will make more money. I will have more things. Therefore, I am worthy. People will look at me and they will see me a certain way. And when they get caught up in this trap, I got caught up in this trap big time. Because when you're in corporate, that's how they reward you. It's like titles and reputation and more money and all. And then it's like, oh, then you end up being like me, who's like, do you know what I do? That this is the 5 years ago, not me now, but 5 years ago, I was very different about like my status. I've worked really hard. These are the things that I've done. And when we get caught up in that space, it really is interesting to me because at least in this one, for me, that was a mask. That mask took over. It became my entire identity, where all of a sudden you're seeing people through that lens. Are you a high achiever? I'm a high achiever. And guess what high achievers? Then they started competing against each other. That turns into a whole other thing. But if you can identify the masks, then you will be able to say, okay, I caught it. Do I need protection here? Do I need to kind of keep that one on? Or can I put it down? And I'll tell you, there's such value when we learn to put things down. Okay, I've got how many other ones? Oh, I've got quite a few. Okay, so I'll say 2 more, and then I'm going to bring Lois up. Lois is in queue, okay? The next one is the people pleaser. How many people pleasers do I have in the group here? I'm waiting. Show me love. How many people pleasers? Yeah. Okay. I figured that this one was going to be a hot to trot one. Okay. People pleasers. They believe, if everyone's happy with me, if I do everything, then I am safe. Then I am safe. So I will put myself on the back burner and do it for everybody else to the point where I'm in pain, to the point that I'm exhausted, I'm frustrated, but I don't want anyone to be unhappy with me because then my safety goes. Think about that. And I know of people that are very much in the people-pleasing state. So it's so interesting to look at the different masks because we all have different ones that we wear. Maybe there's multiple that we wear that are similar. But people-pleasing was never mine. I was more of the achiever kind of pushing through. And the next one, and this is mine big time, the strong one. So if this one resonates with you, have you been wearing the mask of being the strong one? Oh, I got it. I don't need your help. No, I'm so independent. I don't need anybody. That's why I wanted to bring Lois up here because I know she gets that one. I get that one. And usually that one emerges from survival, right? Where you have been the one who's always had to hold it all together. But that will catch up with you as well. Okay, I'm going to bring Lois up. See what my dear friend Lois says.
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Yes, that strong one. My God, that was
my God. Yeah.
Because at first it was empowering because it's a positive trait to have to stand strong in the face of adversity. But after a while, nobody allows you to even get weak and cry for a minute. Every time you turn around and you start crying, why are you crying? You're supposed to be the strong one, you know? So that was, and then the nice one. Okay. You give in, you let this go, you let that go. And then finally you just say, you know what? Here and no further. Oh my God. I thought you were the nice one. Okay. I mean, it is so many of them because the thing is that we wear these masks to be accepted, you know, or to hide behind something. And when my mask cracked, it was so much beauty underneath. I said, why am I wearing a mask?
Oh, I know.
Why do I need to hide this? You know, cause I would hide that a lot of stuff, you know, wearing those masks so that nobody could hurt me cause I didn't want to be hurt anymore. So I hid behind all those labels. That's why I don't like labels anymore. All those labels, because every label they gave me, if it was a positive label, I embodied it because it was greater than I felt I was at the time. You know what I'm saying?
That resonates. That resonates with me. Like where I look at my life now and I have such clear eyes around it, how much I am going to say it, was taken advantage of because just from being a workaholic, because I wanted to be the achiever. I wanted to be the strong one. I wanted to be that. And when I see it through clear eyes, I'm like, boy, I would have done anything. The late nights, you know, not seeing my kids go to bed, fly all over the country, do all this stuff in order to get that. That's how important it was. And it's so dysfunctional.
Yes, it is, because you spend all your time living up to the label that you've been given or the mask that you've been given to wear. And the thing is that sometimes we select a mask on our own. Other times they come as part of our defense mechanisms. Other time people give us that label. And because, like I said, that strong label, and because I didn't feel like I was much when I was younger, because they kept calling me all kinds of names. Whenever they called me a good one, I'd embody it, you know, because it's like, ooh, this feels good. But after embodying it for so long, you're only supposed to wear it for a while. Because we have all these different personas, all these aspects of our personalities that must come into play at different seasons and different times for different reasons. And we got to give them all play. But when we get locked into a persona, that mask, that phase where you're wearing the mask and that mask doesn't come off and you don't even switch it up, you know, and Okay. And you don't switch it up, because the thing is, in every situation, we're supposed to be, adapting to communicate effectively with whoever we're around. But once you become authentic, that adaptation comes seamlessly. You don't have to think about it. It's just like all of it, you automatically adapt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when we getting those labels from people, and straight A student and the nerd, I got called a little bit of everything. But like I said, I clung to those things which I thought were positive, and I tried to hide those things, those ones that they gave me I thought was negative. But it was in that embracing the negative ones and the positive ones that I was able to get to see my whole self.
Oh yeah. And when you start to see it, and I think that one of the biggest, like just recently, this realization that kicked in was, I was saying it earlier on in the talk. I'm like, listen, if we don't know that we are wearing a mask, then all this self-care, self-love, it's all BS, because you're only nurturing the mask. You're not getting to the core of who you are. So it's kind of like, when we understand that, you got to put it down. Because look at, you and I are free flowing right now, but we're free flowing pretty openly. I don't have a mask going on right now. For example, guys, if Lois shows up with her mask, guess what happens to Christina? Well, the old version of Christina, not so much now. What would happen with the old version of Christina? I would show up with my mask. So how are people connecting? They're not.
That's how it works. Your mask meets the other person's mask. And if you don't like the mask you're wearing or the mask you're greeting, you got to take that sucker off. And that's all it is. That's the shadow work. And that's what I've been talking about for the past: mirror work, shadow work, all of the same thing. You have to be able to be able to acknowledge and accept all parts of yourself, recognizing that every time you encounter somebody, you're just encountering another part of your persona that you either admire or that you don't like. Okay. And you're having a reaction to another person because it's being projected from your subconscious. And so when you see it, that's that opportunity to take it off.
Yeah.
Okay. You can double down and get mad at the person because they're projecting something that you don't like, and all of a sudden you react and get mad. But after you get mad, you can go back and sit with it and say, wait, why did I respond so angrily to what they said? What is it? What is it about them that triggered me? What is it in them that is being mirrored back to me, is being reflected back to me? What is that in me? And when you do that, you get to get those answers, and then you get to remove that mask.
And then I would say it even goes further. This is the beauty of doing the work of the work, right? It's like, when you show up authentically, you give people permission to show up authentically too. And that, right? Because it doesn't happen in many places. Whereas we really need to lean into that. Like, so what if I show up as me? Maybe the language will change a little bit, but you're getting the same person, whether or not I'm on a stage or if I'm like working with a client or whatever. I have such peace in that. I don't worry the same way that I was before. I wasn't worrying. I was more like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if you had this too, but for me, it was like a locomotive train. Like I was like, go, go, go. Like this ambition was insane.
You were driven. When you were driven, I was a rubber band, and I was stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching. Same thing, different directions.
Yeah.
Yours was high speed ahead.
Oh, I was going hard. I was like hitting brick walls, like full steam ahead, breaking them down. Just keep going, keep going. But then what happens
because we were living under those presumptions, those labels and those masks, that we had to be strong, that we had to fight hard, that we had to keep on pushing, that we couldn't stop because you're too strong to stop. The strong was never give up. We were under the influence. Okay. Under the influence of the mask that we had to wear, under the influence of the labels we were given, even the labels we gave ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Because some of the labels we gave ourselves, and that negative self-talk and that stinking thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that you said that, I think that we need to acknowledge that we do give ourselves labels when it doesn't fit the way that we want it to, right? And it is coming from critical thinking. And when we get the criticizer, out of the way, then you can be kind and nurturing to yourself. It's like, it's so interesting when it starts to unfold. It's like, oh, who do you want to be? Like, honestly, do you want to be in that place of yuck, or do you actually want to have fun in your life?
Yeah. And the way I look at it this way. Here we go. Gas prices is the little analogy. Gas prices are going up and down and up and down, and people are doing speculations and may have their commentary about the gas and complaining and whining and all that other kind of stuff. And they're still going to go buy the gas, right?
Yeah.
So would you prefer to buy the gas with a happy attitude, or would you prefer to have it with the negative one? Because you're going to buy the gas, period. You're going to buy it.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? And when we take off our mask, we're able to say, hey, I know I'm going to get the gas anyway, so I don't care what the price is. I'm going to have to pay it anyway. So I'm going to do it with happiness. I'm going to do it with love. I'm going to do it with appreciation that I can pay for it. I ain't going to complain all the way to the gas station or run out of gas saying this is my last money I got to put in here, and then run out of gas on the way to the gas station because I'm trying to hold on to the money.
I get it. It's like we have a choice. And what you said is really important. When we take off the mask, if you're leaning into your authentic place, it is full of love, joy, happiness. So you're going to get the gas and you're going to be like, it is what it is. But guess what? I get to go be with my family. We get to go on a road trip. We get to go wherever. Like, we can go to the store. Like, there is a different perspective on life. Yes. And it's not so heavy.
Yes. Everything is not do or die. One, because the thing is when you really think about when it comes down to it, when we're being our authentic selves, it doesn't take much energy. It takes a lot of energy to be the strong one. It takes a lot of energy to be the good mother, okay? Even though the kids are rotten, okay? Because I've seen some people, I'm a good mother. I said, yeah, but your kids are spoiled rotten. They don't know how to stand up for themselves, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I don't know how good that is. Well, a good mother's supposed to give their kids, but a good mother also has boundaries. Now here they are, they grown and you grown, and the kids have no boundaries and you have no boundaries, and so you guys are not having a relationship.
Right.
So
it's called a little bit of tough love. It's healthy. Yeah.
But that's that good. That's falling under that type that thing. The good parent. Well, I'm the provider. And then you don't provide nothing but money to the household. You don't provide no love and no support. So these masks can screw up a family.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But I would also say they can screw up a family, correct. But they also hide people that are emotionally stunted. So instead of having a meaningful, open conversation, which we would do easily, like go deep or whatever, people hide behind these masks so they don't need to go there. And that's usually because they believe that they need the mask in order to have quotation success, whatever it is. And I find that it's so interesting when you start to debunk it, because it's like, well, no, that's not true. Why don't we work on emotional IQ? So, EQ, so EQ. We can really show up in a way that we understand how we're feeling, and then we can show up in the world.
Yeah, because the thing is when we wear the mask to hide from feelings, to hide from feeling a certain way, from feeling dejected, rejected, subjected, suppressed, depressed. we wear masks for to hide all those feelings. But if we allow ourselves simply to feel the feeling and let it pass, it's like like a ripple in the ocean. Feel
Yeah.
it, let it pass. I had to give myself a whole day to feel the disappointment of my house not getting repaired again. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, oh, I'm finna get it done. I'm finna get it done. I got a date, and it didn't happen. And it was I'm grateful that it didn't because they were trying to cheat me. So the
Isn't
whole
that
thing is,
interesting? Yeah.
girl, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm like, no. The whole thing is that when we can show up authentically and for us authentically, and this is for ourselves, but it's also for others too. When we allow ourselves to feel the feelings and bring love to those and compassion and patience, grace to those parts of ourselves that we want to reject and deject and all that suppress and depress, and it's a whole bunch of things we can do to these emotions. We'll
Mm-hmm.
stop getting sick. We'll
Mm-hmm.
stop getting sick because sickness comes from suppression, depression, and all the other things that you do with your emotions. So I'm gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, if you don't want to dismantle your mask for any other reason, dismantle it for your own health, for your own mental
Mm-hmm.
health. Because the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
it's not serving you. It served you when you were a child. It served
Mm-hmm.
you to learn how to put the mask on as a child, but now you're an adult. You have total personal agency.
I
Total
love that.
personal
Yeah.
agency. You get to do what you want to do. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You are independent of your wife, your husband, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. You get to make up your mind. And if you
Mm-hmm.
think you can't, then you're under the influence of whoever you think you can't change your mind because of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would
Well,
say get out from under the influence. I'll say it
mm-hmm.
like that because you're in jail
Mm-hmm.
when you're under that mask. But thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Christine. I'm gonna let you go.
Thanks, Lois. Love you, Lois. Always love Lois's insights. Um, it's so important to really understand, and that's why we needed to talk about this. I like I said, I'm working on this because I'm the keynote speaker on Wednesday, and I was just like, oh gosh, what do I really want to say? And I'm getting to the point now, and you'll hear it, and you guys hear me enough that I want to be boldly honest about the things we need to talk about. And we need to talk about that we're wearing masks and ask yourself, are they really serving you or not? So I'm going to go through some other ones and you can see for yourself. So Lois and we were talking about, Lois was talking about her rubber band, but we were talking about the idea of the strong one. There's also the successful one, right? The achiever and all that stuff. Like, it's so interesting to me because there's so many, and I'm just going to give you a few. The perfectionist, I think that this is a lot of women in particular have gone and caught up in this. Yes. So it's like they will paralyze themselves and not move on things, right? Mistakes equal failure. And if I can't do it flawlessly, I'm not doing it at all. When we get caught up in that rabbit hole, it's about perspective around failure. I always say, fail fast, learn, pick yourself up. What did you learn? Move on. It's this idea of failure. Sometimes I even hear it with people that I know, who I care about dearly. And sometimes you'll hear, well, that's not the way it was supposed to be done. It was supposed to be done like this. And I'm like, who cares? What do we just fix it? Like, how do we fix it? And we'll navigate and work through that stuff. And when we do that, look at the two perspectives. Someone wanted to hold on to the fact that it wasn't done right and wanted that to have a real impact on me. But it doesn't. It's like Teflon to me because I think it's silly because I have a very different view on failure. I think you have to fail. That's the only way you can learn. So if you're so caught up with your mask about pointing fingers about you didn't do it right, that's it. Nope. We're not doing anything. Then you're never going to move, guys. You're not going to move from where you're at. And guess what? That sounds a little bit like the criticizer as far as I'm concerned. You got so caught up in it being a certain way. Now you're criticizing. We should just be happy if people show up. And if they're trying, like with kids, you fall, you pick yourself up, you pivot, you do it again. But with kids, we're so kind and loving, like, ha ha ha, you're so cute. Yeah, da, da, da. We allow that. But with adults, for some unknown reason, because of this mask that people choose to wear, this one is like they're hiding stuff for themselves, right? They don't want to show how vulnerable they are. So if they can hold on to, there's a control piece around perfectionism, right? Like if I can control this and make sure it's perfect, then that means I'm doing good. Okay. That's what all these masks are doing in their own particular way. So that one is an interesting one for me. So another one is the chameleon. Do you have a chameleon in your family? So a chameleon, or maybe in your friend group. The chameleon mask is that they will do whatever is required to fit in. So think about in your history, right? People that don't want to rock the boat people. That's these people. So they'll do whatever is required. Okay, yeah, we're into this now. No problem. Or this. They just kind of like sway back and forth. I'll ask you again, does that serve you? Because, yes, you might have a lot of people around you, but are you grounded in you? So just want to bring that one up because I think that I would also, the chameleon mask would really go to the idea of followers, people that are followers. They're not really, they just go with the flow. They don't want to rock the boat. So that's a mask if it speaks to you. Now, what about the caregiver? I know I got some caregiver masks in here. And typically women have been under this label of caregiver since we were young. And we're told that we're supposed to be self-sacrificing and everybody's supposed to be taken care of except for us. We're not, we're lucky if we get something. And think about it. For those that are moms, we'll totally get this. Think about when our kids are eating dinner. You're lucky if you get a warm meal. And that's not even a joke. Like I've lived that where it's kind of like, okay, you're scrambling in order to make sure everyone's okay. And you know what? I love that we love other people and we want to help and we want to be caregivers. But is it a mask or is it like a tool? Caregiving should be like something we do for people, but it should not be who we are identifying as. Because if you can't take that mask off, there is going to be detriment to you. Because you got to take care of yourself too. You are so deserving of so much, not just scraps at the end of the day. So I want you to reflect on that one. It's so interesting going into this conversation today because there's not a right or wrong. I'm not here to judge these. I'm merely here to bring them up because it shows you all these different ways in which people are protecting themselves to try and fit in, which takes us further and further away from our authentic self. And that's my job. I'm more like interested on the macro level to say, hey guys, look at the system. It's kind of broken here. We got all these people wearing masks in order to fit in, but they're kind of hurting themselves because then they become these masks and then they don't even know how to put them down. So when we understand that, it's so empowering, right? It's kind of fun right now for you to sit back and reflect and be like, what mask have I worn? Oh my goodness, I have been doing this. I was at a conference last week I was talking at, okay? The performer. So we probably either maybe some of us are performers or we've seen performers. And what I mean by this, I will be the life of the party. I will entertain you. I will over deliver and impress and crack you up and do all this stuff. Perform. Why? So you will love me. So you will fill that bucket for me so I feel loved. What the performer has to do, if you're wearing that mask, remember we talked about the Jim Carrey movie, he's wearing the mask, then all he has is the performing mask. He feels like he has to perform all the time and he can't separate from it. It can be pretty exhausting if you always have to feel as though you need to be on. You know the saying, oh, I feel like I'm on all the time. I had a conversation with someone today. It's like, hey, I went on this amazing vacation, but I was on all the time because people constantly were asking me questions and all this stuff. But that's because you're wearing your performer mask. Because if you're really being you, you wouldn't be, yeah, sure, you would love to do it, but it's not, you would also be able to walk away from it. It's interesting. The performer mask also is very similar to that high achiever mask. And I was a sucker for it. I'm not here to judge it. It's going into that space like, oh, I can help you here. Oh, I got this. Look at me. I have all the answers. What do you think's running the show there? My ego's running the show there. Now it's like, no, it's very balanced. You show up in a very different way. And when we understand that those masks do not need to define us, it's quite powerful. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, you have different things that you can use at different times, but your authenticity is like at the forefront. And then the masks are tools. They're not your identity. So I want you to think on that. I've got Peter here. I'm going to bring Peter up. That's awesome. And then I have a couple of more masks that we can go through.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
You stole my thunder on the last sentence about using the mask as tools. And I wasn't going to use the verbiage, but it's exactly, I think, the thing to do. Because, again, going back to your higher achiever status, having the answers, people came to you because you have a skill set and a certain intuitive skill set that allows that to happen, right? So people recognize you as that go-to person. And it's great to have. It's an attribute, but right, when you can't take it off, when you feel like you have to be Mrs. Fixer or Mr. Fixer, and that's how you thrive, that's when it becomes, I don't know, a theatrical mask as opposed to one to put on as a tool. But
yeah.
I was listening to Lois. I listened to the people pleaser mask. That's me. Definitely the caregiver mask when I was taking care of my mom in the twilight of her life. And I was just Superman, right? I dug from the ditches of recovery and back and going. It was time to come in and take care of her. I did it, but I put on the mask and I burnt myself out. And it was so easy to do. And of course, I work with a lot of parents with kiddos with special needs today, and they do the same thing out of love, but they're really neglecting themselves, and it comes at a cost. So I think it's really profound.
Well, it's so interesting because I'm going to be speaking to all these high achieving women. And that's why I was thinking about it. It's like, it's directly related with burnout. And many times when I'm working with individuals, they won't even identify that they have burnout but I'm like, they literally, like, I have a couple, they were losing hair, they were losing weight, they were like right in this space, but they could not get there because the mask was so intense, like you're saying, where they couldn't be like, I need help, or I'm tired, or I need a break. They just couldn't go there.
Yeah. And I think the opposite side of that same coin is the high achiever, the support person that everyone goes to. Like, when they're ready to take the mask off, no one's really prepared to help them because they're the ones who usually have the answers. They're the ones that people say, I know they're going through a tough time, but they'll be all right. Things always work out for them. Or when you present that person who loves you, with a set of issues that are going on, you can start off the first 2 minutes with your stuff, and then it just goes to autopilot back to what's going on in their lives. And it's not that they want to do that or they don't love you or don't want to support you. It's just that, like, that's the way it's been set up, the relationship's set up, and it's no one's fault, right? It's just the opposite side of, like, being that support person, that amazing Superman or Superwoman. There's a downside. There's the kryptonite side of it. So there's no easy answers other than to really, I think, look outside of maybe your immediate circle. If you're that person that everybody goes to, sometimes I feel like it's tough to seek those others for the level of support you need as that quote unquote point person. So, and that's why I Christine, I always go back to recovery, because I love it so much, because it's a system, right? And it's such a support system, and it's structured, and you have this network, and it has redundancy in it of men and women that are there to just listen to you, right? And that doesn't have to be in recovery. It can be any type of support group. Hell, I found it right here in 𝐕𝐈. You're one of my people, believe it or not. We don't talk that often, but by listening to you, just listening to you, and Lois too. When I listened to Lois too, yesterday I listened to her, and very much the same way. I love all you guys. I appreciate you.
Okay. Thanks, Peter. I really appreciate it. Oh man, it's amazing. I think that when there's one thing that Peter said that I think is really important. Many of us, it's not, when you are a good person, quotation, good person, I'm just saying, talking all heart. Okay. And you're on that, like, you want to help. And I feel like there's many of us out there that we want to help, and we become the rock. We become the rock for everyone. And we don't know, people don't know how to, they've labeled us as the rock. And if we are not honest with ourselves that we need help too, maybe it's one person, maybe it's a community, maybe it's like whatever it is, but the rock cannot sustain itself long term. It will crack. Because we've had this weird thing in our society about toughness and being stoic and like feelings are weakness and everything's okay. It just perpetuates this emotional stuntedness. I know it sounds harsh. So the rock, you could think that the rock has got it all together, but the rock is probably just holding it together as much as possible in the way that they know how. But if we're really going to be honest with ourselves, if we look at people as humans and understand that everybody needs help in some way or form, and we can see it from a different purview, I'm telling you, you will see so much. Because the rock is probably, I think, one of the worst. I'm going to be honest, because I have been the rock. And it is one of the worst labels you can hold on to. It goes into that whole stoic thing. I'm this, I'm that. And then meanwhile, you're suffering on the inside. And if you really did a number on yourself, you trick yourself. Like, we're awesome at tricking ourselves that it doesn't impact you. And as Peter said, you're Superman or Superwoman. That's for other people. I have a moment and then I can do this. No, it's not real. And when we learn to honor who we are, even the rock, and, when someone would say something to me, the odd time, being the rock, if someone out of the blue, and normally it wouldn't be my core circle, believe it or this is how amazing it is. It's usually some random that will come in and see the rock holding it together and go, are you okay? Because your immediate crew doesn't see it, because they've already labeled you. They see you a certain way. They don't see that you might need help. And random person will come and say it because they can see it as the outside in. And those are the people that will like get me all teared up in a minute, because I feel like they saw me in that moment. Like, I'm like struggling. So if you're not the rock, does that mean you don't have value? Again, it's a false narrative. We're all human and we all have different things and different ways that we can potentially show up. And what happens is that some of these masks that we have been brought up with, if we don't do the work to realign with who we are, we carry it to the next generation. We start teaching our kids that feelings don't matter, or we are dismissive, or get up, or do this. Like the whole idea around resilience, I am very resilient, but I'm starting to rethink the idea of resilience a little bit. When is it too much? When should we put our hand up a little bit and say, hey, we need help?
There are things, and I don't have to wear a mask around here, thank goodness. when you're talking about a mask, do you remember those little cheap plastic Halloween masks that when you
Yes.
put on, and they have those hard eyeball, they're
Yeah.
around your eyes and they scratch and they hurt.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. I mean, I don't necessarily think about these gorgeous Mardi Gras or these masquerade masks. I think about those cheap, horrible little hard masks that hurt your eyes, and you can't see. If you're wearing a mask, you can't see others.
So
You
powerful.
can't see what's in front of you. You can't really see what someone needs because, by golly, you've got the Superwoman mask on. And you know what they need, So, yeah, I don't wear the mask anymore. I don't have the energy anymore to put them on and take them off and change them. And and you start to learn who in your circle loves you without the mask real quick when you start taking them off.
Well, and I think it's interesting that you say that, because if some people don't even know that they're in love with the mask and not the individual, they're so caught up in the persona that this person is playing, right? So, oh my goodness, Jennifer, thank you so much. What great insight. It's true, because that idea of the masks, until we really are honest with ourselves and we say, hey man, I was kind of wearing some of these masks. Yeah. And then, of course, being me, I'm always going to challenge you guys a little bit more. I'm like, is it working for you? Is it? Is it not? Jennifer just said, like, her masks are itchy and scratchy. So why would we keep putting itchy and scratchy masks on? That doesn't really serve us very well. And when we understand that, that changes the dynamic immediately, because we're not meant to wear masks. I want you to understand that, really. We're meant to lean into our authenticity. What has set it up that we need all these masks? And, I'm always going to go macro now, because I know that this is a part of what I'm supposed to share, is that the system is broken. That all these beautiful souls, all of us here, somewhere along the way, we felt as though we had to put a mask on in order to fit in order to feel seen, valued, heard, that we had to do that to fit in somewhere. The system is broken. Why aren't we much more open and accepting of people as they show up? I think this would solve many things around anxiety and mental health and all that stuff. Because the reason why people are feeling so uncomfortable, just as Jennifer said, they don't want to wear the mask anymore, or they don't even know how to take it off. And then it just continues on and on and on. And when we understand that there's real cost to keeping that mask on, one of these masks of the ton that I shared, you either can feel like an imposter because you're not yourself. You start losing joy in your life. We are meant to have a joyful life, period. But somehow, if we feel as though that we're going to be ridiculed, or we feel as though we won't be accepted, we start putting these masks in. And we start fracturing that beautiful part of ourselves away. And we decided we're going to turn it in for an itchy mask. One that, that makes you have anxiety, or maybe you're overthinking things. And then you have inner resentment. Like, you can see it, right? Burnout. Like, I use that example with Peter talking about the burnout. Like, that's not a coincidence that all these things are happening. It's because we're not aligned into who we are supposed to be. And what I'm trying to help teach here is for you to be brave enough to step out and be you. Because when you start owning who you are and you are brave, no one can knock you off your game. But when you are wearing masks and you go out there and they're like, oh my gosh, they might find me out. They might know I'm wearing an itchy mask. They might know that this isn't really me. That's when it gets all botched up, guys. Think about that. That is the game changer. Kind of blows my mind a little bit. That's why it's just not worth it. And I'm going to be on every mountaintop saying this. And whatever rooms I need to be, I'm going to stop pretending that it's okay. It's not okay. It's broken. Let's fix it.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and behind the scene contents. And if you have any suggestions about future topics or guests, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, stay curious, keep learning, and never stop exploring the fascinating world around you. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.